also passionate about church. Okay, that's noted, so that I don't say something that will implicate me.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
so I'm passionate about church and God's work. I am almost addicted to war games. So Call of Duty, Game of Thrones, um, Ghost Recon, Battlefield. Those are the kind of games that I have. And like Seun said, I'm a minority in my home. If they put anything to a vote, which I try to avoid, I know I'm going to lose because I've got only me. My wife is there, and I've got two daughters. I'm privileged to share with you um, a topic around performance planning, the art of goal setting. I try as much as possible to avoid the conversation around smart goals, not because it's not relevant, but because I am very sure that you have had it at some point, either in your career or in school. So I just wanted us to be a bit more practical. I will talk about some of the things I am doing and what I've done that is effective. In the end, it's not about the English we speak, it's about the results we get. So, what have I done, or what are we doing, or what have I learned from other people that they are doing to be able to get results? So, we'll avoid, don't expect that today we're going to be talking about the specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, or attainable, or time bound goals. We'll just go to the nitty gritty when the rubber meets the road. What are things that we're going to be discussing? And I'm also going to leave about 50% of the time for us to ask questions. Sean, please confirm to me that you can still hear me.
Yes, Dele, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Perfect. So the last time we spoke about performance that I attended a class, Sean presented these stages of performance management system. He talked about the fact that we start with planning. Then we go ahead to monitor. I mean, we don't just plan and then tuck it away. We continue to monitor. And then in that process, we would equip the skills of our people to be able to achieve whatever it is we've planned for them. And we'll constantly review based on realities. We review and we'll also track. Okay, review will speak to both tracking to see that our people are on track, and it's also that are we sure that this goal is still relevant, and then we can always review the goal. And at the end of the day, when people perform, we should reward them. When they don't perform, we should also chastise them or support them. So the whole conversation today will be around planning. And what again is then performance planning? This is the process of setting business goals. And we don't only set those business goals and it's nice to have, we also find a way to align employees, align our people, drive our people, support our people to be able to achieve those goals, because the goals are there to actually affect business success. And you could have all the systems, all the processes, everything that you think are great within an organization. But if you don't have the people to lead to effect these things, then you are most likely not going to get a result. All right. So the whole essence of business planning, sorry, performance planning, is for us to be able to set business goals, okay, and then align our employees behind those goals to achieve them. Why do we plan performance? Why is it that we need to set goals? Okay, number one is that it creates alignment. Okay, it creates alignment. It allows us to be able to have every employee driving, waking up every morning, coming to work, make decisions that helps us achieve the business goals. It doesn't matter whether it's an organization, of 10 persons, or it's an organization of 100 or 100,000 or 1,000,000 people. Okay, when you have a solid performance planning session in place, or performance planning system or process in place, it helps you to be able to create alignment. So employee comes to work and they are sure that what they are doing helps them to contribute to the ultimate, to the business objectives of the organization. Number two is the fact that it drives motivation. You know, if I'm sure that the proposals that I'm drafting, the production that I'm running, each bottle that comes out of the line, or the deals I'm closing, helps the business to move forward to achieve its goals. I am motivated. That's on one hand. Then on the other hand, I am also clear that if I achieve these goals, it gives me certain rewards. Okay, so we agree at the beginning of the year that if you do one, two, three, this is what the reward will be at the end of the year. It gives me something to wake up and to live for. Okay, so it helps us to drive motivation. Number three is that when we plan goals, it has a way of also helping us to develop employees. I'm going to get to a part where I feel that we need to be a bit more deliberate in terms of setting goals at some point in this talk. But within this context, it helps us to develop our people. And if performance goals are set well, if it's done properly, if the system is effective, it also helps you to get employees buy-in. Okay, it helps you to get employees buy-in. I mean, there are quite a lot of people who get goals at the beginning of the year, and they don't think that it is important. Okay, they don't see a reason why they should be doing it. But if it is done properly, you have an employee take ownership of their role. They take ownership of their performance for the entire year. They take it and they know it that it is theirs, and they drive it. They're self-driven around it. Number five is that it helps you to, it creates a standard by which performance is monitored. All right. When you set those goals at the beginning of the year, and then you get to first quarter, second quarter, at the end of the year, you are able to say that we agreed that this should be done at the beginning of the year. We also looked at how you're progressing towards it. By the end of the year, let us compare apple for apple. All right. We're not going to get to the end of the year and say, this is what I thought that's going to happen, or this is what I feel that we should have done. Okay. We're going to be looking at whatever it is we agreed that we both signed at the beginning of the year, and then we look at actual performance, which, of course, Seun had said that it falls under reviewing, and then we look at it at the end of the year and say, did you match it? Okay, we said we need you to close 10 deals. Did you close 10 deals? Okay, if you close 10 deals, yes, we would say you have achieved. Did you close more than 10 deals? Then we'll say you've gone above and beyond. Did you close 8 deals? Then we'll say that's average performance. Did you close 5 deals? Then we'll tell you that's poor performance, depending on whatever it is that you've agreed. So the performance planning process helps you to set clear standards by which performance can be monitored and rewarded. And of course, it clarifies the expectations. Okay, it helps us know what is expected of me. Okay, and one thing I like about performance planning is that it removes all sense of doubt. And if at that moment also, no matter what it is, hard feelings you have with your manager or all of that, it can reduce every form of bias. Okay, especially when there is clarity, when it is set effectively. So performance planning helps you to create alignment around strategic business goals. It helps you know how you're contributing. It drives motivation within employees. It help them develop. It also helps you to get employees buying in. The process helps you to get employee buy-in. It's not just you waking up and say you need to deliver one, two, three. No, the employee needs to also have a say. All right, needs to say I agree, I disagree. If you have a very effective performance management system, and it helps us to monitor performance. How do we know performance? is taking place, or how do you know that the employee has achieved whatever it is we have set at the beginning of the year. And it also clarify expectation. There is no I think it is, you thought it was, no, that is not there. All of us are clear if this performance is actually um, effective. For goals to be effective, for performance goals to be effective, it must be purposeful and it must be meaningful. So I'm going to take each of this in context. Okay, it must be purposeful and it must be meaningful. It doesn't matter what it means to you. I had to build this word around the areas I want to talk about. So for purposeful, we speak about the fact that it must tie to business objective. Okay, it must tie to business objectives. Organizations that are effective, performance-driven organizations will actually start the year with their business imperatives. Usually, it could be a retreat. In fact, most of the time, they usually would go for a retreat. In my organization, we set aside 3 days, 3 nights to actually define the business imperative for the year. What are our strategic objectives? How do we want to win in the marketplace? Are we going to be expanding the business market share? Are we going to be doubling whatever it is we have as turnover last year? Are we going to maintain it? Whatever it is, do we want to try? Do you want to expand the business? Are we moving into a new space? Okay, business forward-looking organizations must involve all of their business leaders. You should have finance seated there. You should have quench the safety guys seated there. You've got production there. You've got sales there. All of them are there brainstorming and say, looking at the market, these are the things that are possible for us. This is the direction we want to take this business. So they come up with those strategic objectives, and then they have them clearly written. Goals. Performance planning starts with setting strategic objectives for the business. So we'll come up and say, what do we want as per turnover? And mind you, it doesn't matter what type of performance model you're using, OKRs, KPIs, what is this other one that Seun talked about, balance scorecard, whatever it is. Okay, it starts with you setting strategic objectives, and those strategic objectives must also be clear. One of the things I love that I see for business looking forward-looking businesses do is that in that strategic business meeting, they get the inputs of everybody. So what we do in my organization is that on the first day, we're looking at whatever it is we have achieved last year, and then you have the MD come and say, this is the direction I want the business to go this year. Okay, so over the night, each of the business leaders then go back and then begin to say, okay, this is how I am going to play to support the achievement of these businesses. People will go and then say, this is the way I want it to, this is the way I think we can contribute. And finance would also say, this is the part I am going to take to make sure this happens. Quench does the same thing. The guys in projects, the guys in sales also go and say, this is the way I feel this will happen. And then we'll come back and we'll make presentations. And when you make those presentations, you have other people begin to even challenge some of your business goals. That's the part I love the most, because these people then come and then they have a third eye to look at it and say, I think you should do this. I think you can do that. Okay, and leaders debate each department's contribution, and then at the end of the day, we come up with 3 to 5 departmental objectives to actually support that business imperative. So that's where departmental objectives come. We ask the question: how can the departments help deliver on these objectives? What is people going to be contributing? What is finance and accounts going to be contributing? What is the production guy going to do to make sure this is achievable? Remember, a very top strategic objective would be around bottom line, top line and bottom line, revenue and profit. So they come around and say, this is how we're going to be able to contribute. If a departmental objective does not help contribute to business imperative, it will not be effective. It's a waste of time, it's a waste of resources. So each department leader must be able to say, this is how my departmental objectives tie to these strategic imperatives for the year. And then when we're done with that, we go back home and then speak to all of our lieutenants. And then we say, okay, this is what we're going to be helping the business deliver. This is what the business is going to deliver this year. They are clear. Everybody is clear that this year, these are the numbers. This year, these are the quality. This year, these are the stuffs we want to get done. And then we begin to speak to how each employee contributes, or each cluster of sub-departments begin to contribute. And then we speak to individual employees. How will you, as a shop floor production staff, contribute to this? How will you, as a sales engineer or a sales executive, contribute to this? How will the banker, the guy at the counter, how is he going to contribute to the strategic objectives? And they are able to see that line that leads to the business imperative. So every time they come into the business, they know how each of the things that they do help the business achieve the goal. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Because at some point I almost said praise the Lord. That's the way we
Go ahead, we can hear you.
we try to get the attention of the congregation. So thank you for still being with me. So being purposeful means it has to tie to business imperative. Let's take, for instance, a business comes up and say, one of our business imperative this year is to increase business profitability by 15% year on year. So the MD or the CEO comes in and say, this year we're going to be increasing our business profitability, that's the profit, by 15% this year compared to last year, whatever it is we achieved last year. So you then see departmental objectives around for people and HR. They may come and say, okay, we're going to increase the capacity of our people to be able to improve on productivity, and let us see how we can increase them to be a bit more resourceful, more equipped, more efficient, okay, at what they do. How can we help them to get more results? You want to increase capability, you want to increase engagement. And for sales is saying, how do we increase turnover? How do we ensure that we sell into the market more than we did last year? Okay, and then of course they will come up with goals that are achievable and specific. Then finance admin is going to say, for us to be able to increase business profitability, let us see how we can reduce cost. All right, whatever it is that we've done last year, let us see how we can reduce the cost by a certain percentage, because you would know that for business to be profitable, it's either you increase the cost, you reduce the cost, increase turnover, increase efficiency, or you increase productivity. Okay, so each person then begins to say, how do we do that? And production is saying, let us increase efficiency, let us reduce waste. Okay, let us reduce waste of time, waste of resources, so that we can improve productivity. Or let us develop the skills of our people, or let us even re-engineer the entire production line so that we can get more out of the line than what we're currently getting. So they come and then they come up with all of these objectives. So by the time we then get home, we then begin to look at individual objectives. So the admin manager or the HR admin manager then begins to speak to the admin officer and say, I need you to reduce office supply costs by 10%. All right, reduce office supply costs by 10%. Or you need to also look at automating the travel request processes. Okay, and while you automate it, I want you to go and then go live by 1st July 2023, so that at least we're ready. Okay, so the time it takes for us to process travel requests must reduce, because we want our salespeople to be able to get requests or get responses from us on time, so they don't need to wait. They do it at the tip of their fingers. They're ready to hit the ground running, and then they move. They take the entire travel request processes into their hands. That would be something an admin officer will be looking at. Then the production manager on his end will say, how do I increase operational efficiency by 20%? It means that he already has a tracker that tracks the operational efficiency. They're looking at the cost. I mean, look at the cost of running the plant. Then how do we reduce it? Because the more we reduce, the more we have in terms of profit. So these are examples of some of the ways we can tie individual employees' objective to strategic objectives. So if you have this cumulatively across the entire business, you will definitely be able to achieve those goals. However, these things need a lot of thought, and that is why I feel that performance planning is not only an art, it's also a science. So you need to use data, you need to use simulation to be able to then come to a conclusion. Okay, and also look at the possibilities. So some level of common sense is also involved. I also said that you need to also create meaningful goals. Okay, meaningful goals. For you to create meaningful goals, it must be something that the employee buys into. It must be something that drives the person. It must be something that specifically say, this is what I want you to do. So number one is that you need to start with an action word. Every goal that will be effective must start with an action word. Is it for the person to deliver, to activate, to produce, to report, to improve, to achieve? Something that creates some form of action so the person knows exactly what is expected of him. Are you to drive? Are you to reduce? Okay, you need to implement. And then we must tie them to metrics. Okay, tied to metrics. Some, it's about percentages. You are increasing or you're decreasing by some percentages. You're achieving by some numbers. For instance, in the space where I play, we speak to the sales guys and say, we want you to close 50, the total megawatt we want you to sell into the market this year is 100 megawatt. So that is clear. So at the end of the year, we're asking, did you achieve 100 megawatts? I did not achieve 100 megawatts. Or I achieved 100 megawatts, or I did more than that. And of course, the sales leader goes and then begins to speak to his people. Out of this 100 megawatts, looking at the space where you play or where you cover, you can do 10 megawatts. Okay, the opportunities there are about 30. Why don't you grab 10 out of that 30? Okay, so numbers, and sometimes it's about a date. We want you to be able to set up this process by a certain date. Those are matrices. So we are clear on the dates that it will happen. Some are a combination of all of these metrics. Okay, it may be we want this percentage as a certain date. We take for granted that those goals must be within the particular year. Sometimes it could exceed those years if you're doing a medium-term goal or a long-term goal, right? Or if you're running a project. So is it a date? And sometimes you cannot put some numbers to it. You cannot put numbers to whatever it is you're doing. I mean, a typical example is that your workplace needs to be clean. What does clean look like? So you need to then clarify what standard of work is. So sometimes you need to then have a standard of work and say, this is what clean looks like. This is what an accurate report looks like. This is what this looks like. So you can use percentages, you can use numbers, you can use date, and you can use standard of work. And there are a lot of other matrices that you can use. I'm sure when we get to the question time, or the other experienced persons on the call will be able to contribute. And then lastly, for goals to be meaningful to
Hello, Dele. Seems we lost you. Can you hear me?
your employees, you must make it collaborative.
Sorry, Dele, we lost you for like 20 seconds.
Yeah,
Maybe
can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. You want to repeat the last 3 sentences you said?
Okay, so let me know if you can still see my screen, please.
We can't see your screen anymore.
Okay, so I will just share my window again because I asked if you can see me, if you can hear me.
Yes, it's up now.
Okay, it's up. Thank you. So Guy, you need to be up. Okay. So I said that you need to start with an action word. Did you hear that part?
Yes, go ahead with it.
Okay, so you need to start with an action word. You need to use deliver, activate, something that will propel the employee to action. Then you need to also tie them to metrics. You can use percentages, you can use numbers, you can use date, you can also use standards of work in um in 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 a context where you may not be able to tie to numbers. All right. Um, and I gave an example of a clean environment. You want the environment to be clean. What does clean look like? You need to take pictures and of course show your people. And you can use a combination of all of these things. We want 10% by this particular month, 10% by end of year. And lastly, and that for me is the most important one, you need to make it collaborative. One of the things I do with my people, and I've done that for years, is that I ask them to set their own goals after we're done with the HR retreat. So I have a whole session to communicate what it is the business is trying to achieve in a year. Bring them into an environment that is calm, that is good, and then they are able to understand. I was reading an article yesterday that says that over communication is actually good, meaning communicate, communicate, communicate. So when I get the business objective for the year, I lock my people in a particular room and I say, you know what, this is the entire thing. This is what sales is doing. This is what sales service is doing. This is what finance is doing. Now I want you to tell me what you are going to be achieving within the next 1 year. One thing I have seen that is very beautiful is that these guys come in and they tell me goals. They give me even bigger goals that I think they could achieve, and they give me goals that stretch them. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good. So involve
Let's hold on for Dele. Seems his network is breaking. Hi, Dele. Can you still hear me? Oh, seems we lost Dele. I think I have to.
hello.
Okay, yes, we can hear you, but we can't see your screen any longer. We lost you for another 20 seconds.
Why are they losing me? What is wrong with this?
Guess your network.
Yeah, I agree. I'm almost done, so I'll run away from them now. You should see my screen now.
Yes, we do.
Good. So make it collaborative. That's the main point. I'm talking about there. Make it collaborative. Involve your people in certain goals. So what should you set goals on? Okay. What should you set goals on? So you have objective and key results, KPIs, goals. These are the deliverables. These are the direct things that you want your employees to be able to achieve at the end of the year in terms of numbers, in terms of, so for instance, when we're talking about increasing the profitability of the business, okay, goals like improving the operational efficiency by 15% are things tied to objective and key results. They are technical, something I call technical goals. So you have that. Then you have performance factors. Performance factors are things that are tied to values and culture statements. And why is this important? I give an example with sales. You want somebody who will be able to achieve the number, but the person is also compliant with the company value. In a business in which I work, we will sell engines, we will sell products, but you cannot sell products, you cannot bribe while you're selling products. You cannot give PR. Okay, we will not say because we want you to achieve your objectives and results or your KPIs or your goals, you then can bribe, or you can do stuffs that are against the company values. That's not acceptable. So we'd also rate you on how aligned you are with the company values. Another part that I have brought into our plan is that we need to have development goals. So while the employee is improving, we would also together agree on the areas where the employees need to improve. Not only for the employee to be able to achieve the goals for this year, because usually I set those goals to be 1 or 2 points ahead of the employee so that you can stretch the employees to improve. But also, what am I developing the employee into? Okay, so development goals are also very key. So everything is 100%. I usually will recommend that the OKRs and KPIs, or the KRAs, are 70% of the entire performance objectives, and then the performance factor will be 20%, and the development goals will be 10%. Okay, and all of this contributes to what the employee gets in terms of reward. Or you can do 60%, 30%, and 10%. So you can do any of those two. But again, you are at liberty to look at the reality of your organization and ask, what do I want to place emphasis on? And then you can make those decisions and contribute. I think that's all I have. If you have any question or contribution, please let us go ahead with it. So I'm done here, Seun.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dele, for that very enlightening, thought-provoking, and interesting points you have shared. Very interesting session. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for QA, questions and answers. So please start dropping your questions. Ifeolu has been asking us to drop our questions in the chat box. So Dele, I'm going to start with the questions. So from experience, you would see that when it comes to performance planning, or call it goal setting, from experience, you would see line managers or head of departments, functional heads, right? They have the impression that anything performance management is HR's baby, is HR's responsibility. So the workload of setting goals, sometimes they jettison it and leave everything to HR. So you find HR running helter-skelter, like begging people to set goals, kind of, because at the end of the day, HR has, as part of his own KPIs, ensuring that everybody would set their goals. Am I right? So can you quickly touch on this for us? What are the responsibilities of line managers, those not in HR? So where does HR responsibility start when it comes to goal setting? Should, for instance, I'm HR business partner. Should I go and set goals for account officer? Should I go and set goals for the sales manager? Should I go and set goals for the quality assurance lady? Should I go and set goals for the customer service lady or the lady in quality assurance? Okay, so what is HR's responsibility when it comes to goal setting? And what is the responsibility of line managers? So where does that collaboration, that cooperation, how does it come to play? Thank you, Dele.
Thank you so much for the question. It's a very brilliant question, I must say. One of the things HR must emphasize in their respective businesses is that people responsibilities are line managers' responsibilities. Are you with me? Get to a point where you let the line managers know that the performance of their respective employees or the performance of their respective associates is their entire responsibility. And how do you do this? One of the things I've done in the past is that when a line manager comes to me and says this person is not performing, I ask him how. How do you know he's not performing? Okay, how do you know he's not performing? just to align with what Seun said, your job is to coordinate the entire performance management process. Your job is not to set goals for them. However, you need to ensure that the goals that are set for the people, for the employees, are actually effective goals and that they have a say in it. If you're just starting to implement performance management system in your organization, it is important that you first get the MD's buy-in and let the MD know that it is get him to understand and to accept that setting those goals belongs to the to the line managers. Okay, and train the line managers on how to set goals for their people. Train them on how to set goals for their people. Then create a tracker that helps you track the completion of those goals. You know what I do? What I do is that at the management meeting every week, I put it there. I have it as part of what I present to management. Everybody sees it. I'm supposed to get 20 completed and signed OKRs from this department. I've only gotten 10. I'll put it there as 10. Okay. And then you see it. Everybody sees it and I report it. And I'll tell you this is past deadline. Okay. So, and I will get you to, I'll keep putting it in the faces of other people to be able to mount pressure on you. I don't only track performance planning process, I also track the, what's it called? The evaluation. I'll communicate, I tell you that this needs to be done at this particular time. If it's not done, I am monitoring you, I am forcing you, I am telling you. However, I am also telling you, let me know if you need help. Okay, but the help I'm offering you is not to set goals for your people. It is your responsibility. It's going to be a bit crappy in the beginning if you're just implementing, but over time your people, your line managers are going to take the process away from you. When they push it to you, push it back to them. Just tell them you are there to support. Let the conversation be between them and their line manager. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you so much, Dele. Thank you for that. Very, very spot on response. Ifeoluwa, can you please state the questions we have on the chat box so that Dele can answer them? I'm also trying to, I don't want to miss anyone, so keep a tab on the questions. You can read out anyone we have in the chat box. Ifeoluwa, are you there?
Okay, yeah, I'm here, sure. Thank you. I just posted a question. There was a question that Nkiruka, I think, posted earlier, but my network, I logged out, so I came back in. I don't have that question again. Nkiruka,
okay, hold on. Let me read that. Nkiruka, hold on. I can't see, but I can see Ijoma's question.
Okay, Ijoma. Yeah.
No. Nkiruka said over communication is sometimes good. That's
okay,
what she's saying. I think it's a contribution.
Yes.
So you can go ahead to read Ijoma's question and yours.
No, I don't have Ijoma's question. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Let me go. So Ijoma says, thank you for that insightful session. She says, for individual goals by different people within same team, and how can one stand out with his goal when, for instance, the parameters for the team are similar? What could speak to smartness by individual actors who share same group team performance parameters? Dele, did you get that?
I heard that, but I'm still trying to get
okay.
Wrap my
So
head
Ijoma,
around
okay, thank you. Ijoma, can you unmute yourself and ask your question, clarify so Dele can answer? Ijoma.
All right. Thank you very much, Dele, and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So the question is just to, if you can throw light on how people who are in the same team and perhaps they have same performance parameters or let's say goals for the team, okay, that are similar, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps there are peculiarities. Let's say people who have different contributions to make in that team. What how can one distinguish himself? How can one come up with specific goals that speak to your own contribution in that team or in pursuit of those team goals when you are an individual actor on your own? I don't know if that helps to explain it.
So maybe let me give a context to it so that it can be clearer. So Seun, Dele, and Ijoma, they have the responsibility or the goal of closing 10 deals together. Is that clear? Is that
Yes,
what
yes.
it is you're talking about?
Yes.
So that means the three of us have team goals.
Yes. There are clear parameters for the team to pursue, but you have your own individual contribution into the achievement of those goals. Now, in setting your goals, how can you bring it out? How that your contribution will be specific and speak to what it is that you need to deliver in pursuit of that team goal?
You divide the goals. You divide it. I mean, if it's 10, we look at the realities of how you're contributing. I wish we had an example. Okay, and then we can use the example to contribute. If you have team goals, then it is the responsibility.
Hi, Dele. We lost you again. Okay, go ahead. Please go ahead, Dele. Hello, Dele.
Hello.
So Dele seems to have some network challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ijoma,
let me. So I mean, he was talking about giving a context to it, and let me use an instance from let's say manufacturing sector. Now let's say in a brewing environment for let's say three plants in three different locations, right? Now there is a goal from the center saying that for HR people, this is what they need to deliver for the year across the entire business. Now, let's say there are 3 HR managers in 3 different locations or in the 3 different plants. The question is, are their goals going to be same? Based on the fact that they are drawing or they are pulling from the same team goals, or can there be differences in what individually they are meant to contribute to the achievement of the team goal as an HR function?
Okay, so it will depend on their reality. It will depend on the reality of the business in which they support and they manage. So there will be differences in their contribution. And that is why the responsibility of the group HR head is to look at individual. For instance, I give you an instance. I don't know where you work, but in a place like Seven or Bottling Company, the largest plant is Ikeja plant. Seun worked there for a while. You cannot have the same goal for the HR manager or the production manager or the general manager for Ikeja plant as you would have for Benin. Okay, because their realities are different. So even if it is joint at the group level, you still need to look at the reality of the individual contributors. And that is what you then see how they contribute. And of course, you would have allocate them based on their capacities. Chima's hand is up.
Thank you, Dele. Yeah, we are coming to Chima, but before that, I want to add something to what Dele just said. Please. To also answer Ijoma's question. And Olajumo Kefatoki, I've seen your question. I'm going to also throw that up. So very brilliant question, Ijoma. So when it comes to key result areas, KRAs, their goals will be similar because production is production. All the factory managers across different regions or locations report to the same manufacturing director, right? So when it comes to KRA, it will be similar. For instance, efficiency is one thing every production manager would measure. You understand? Plant efficiency, quality assurance ratings and all of that. Safety parameters, their production numbers. But what would differ would be the volumes. Like Dele said, if if, for instance, the biggest plant in that business cannot have same goals as other smaller plants. Why? They produce more. But when it comes to KRA, similar. Production volume is production volume, or production target is production target. That is KRA, key result area. But in terms of the numbers, so if the biggest plant is producing or is expected to achieve 3 million tons of product for a year, then other plants may have maybe 2.5, some may have 2 million, some will have 1 million. You understand? The same way, the HR manager of the biggest plant, like Dele said, in terms of the head counts they manage, you understand? In terms of this safety incidences they manage, in terms of payroll that they manage, it would be different because they have more numbers. You get, so the same way their numbers will be different, the same way their contribution is expected to be more. But generally, the key result areas are the same because they all report to the same functional head who reports into the MD, right? I don't know if that answers your question, Ijeoma, before we go ahead.
100%, Seun. Thank you very much. That's exactly the point I was driving to. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Ijeoma. So, Dele, Chima, I saw your hand. We are coming to you, but Olajumoke asked a very brilliant question here earlier on. She said, in practical terms, how are business goals cascaded down to the last man on the line? Sometimes the meaning is lost or the big picture isn't properly communicated, and employees cannot really ascertain how they fit in or what role they are expected to play.
Okay, so that would be, again, the failure of the line manager. In practical terms, how do you cascade it? You do not go to, like I said, for my team, I don't go to my team and tell them, this is what you're going to be doing. No, I will start all over again with a strategic business imperative for the year. These are the numbers that we need to hit this year. This is how my department or your department is going to contribute to this, which is my responsibility. This is how you will be contributing to my responsibility. And that is where I spoke about over communication is good. Meaning I come, I tell you, these are the business strategy goals. This is how we as HR, this is how finance is going to be contributing to it. This is how sales is going to be contributing to those numbers. And then this is how you will be contributing to mine. So you must always start, no matter what it is, no matter who it is you're speaking with, whether it's the
We lost.
So that to be clear, yeah.
Okay, you're back.
Yeah. So I've made my last comment actually. Start from the strategic business imperative, explain to them, let them know how your department is contributing to it, let them know how they are contributing to the success of the department, and how that will also impact on the business imperative. Finish.
Thank you so much, Dele. So Olajumoke, Dele has answered the question, maybe just a little addition. Communication is very key. Some of the elements of performance planning or setting goals, or even the entire performance management system itself is clarity, communication, clarity, coherence is very, very important. So it's about breaking down the goals. Like Dele said, the MD has a goal. And now when it comes to goal setting, from my experience, I think it's very important that we don't have too many goals. And that's why they are called strategic goals. They are called corporate priorities. For instance, as a business, what if we have just 10 across the business, either top line or bottom line, across all functions? Let's have 10. But when it comes to functional goals, we may have just 6, maybe for the head of HR, head of marketing, head of sales, head of IT, head of finance, all the functional heads. Let's have maybe just 6 or 5. Then when it comes to managers, let's also put a number to say, oh, for every financial year, we will not have more than 5 goals for every senior manager or manager. For every senior staff, we do not want to have more than 4 goals. Then for staff, the junior staff, those who are on the shop floor or who are on the field, We do not want to have more than 3 goals. Of course, goals can be KPIs, they can be targets. Now, when you do this, you are trying to ensure that people do not lose sight of what they should be doing. So you have 5 for managers, 4 for senior staff, 3 for junior staff. Now, you have to call very important meetings where the managers who are having 5 goals, they understand what 5 KPIs they should have, what 5 things they should be working towards to achieve their developmental objectives for that financial year. And this will be broken down into quarterly, into monthly, if possible into weekly. So by the time you communicate clearly and you break it down to the senior staff, to the junior staff, the junior staff who are the lowest in Okada in every organization would have, let's say, 3 goals. And these 3 goals would be directly related to their function, their functional expectation, their functional deliverables. For instance, someone did sales. Number one thing every salesperson is expected to do is to close deals. And this is about achieving sales volume. Whatever the business is selling, either it's a service or it's a commodity, it's a product, it's food and beverage, it's mobile phone, whatever you're selling, sales volume, sales target is number one. The next thing is you want to also check how are you interacting with customer, maybe your customer service. You want to check customer service. The next thing is maybe how the customer complaint coming from your region or your budget center. Okay, so when you make it very clear, make it unambiguous, make it small, people it would be very hard for people to forget it. So communication, clarity, coherence, not leaving room for any form of ambiguity would help us cascade these goals to every employee, such that when they come to work every day, they know what they are, what they should be working on and what they should focus on. I thought I should just add that. I want to believe your question. We've answered your question, Olajumoke. Chima, your hand was up. Can you please unmute yourself and ask your question? Esther, I see your hand. We're coming to you.
Esther should answer her own question.
Esther, Chima, is Chima still there? Chima, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Maybe Chima is waiting for me.
Okay, Esther, go ahead. Chima would come after you.
Okay, Dele, thank you. Is Chima there? Is somebody talking?
Just go ahead, Esther. Go
ahead.
Okay.
So,
go
thanks,
ahead,
Dele. A handful there, right? And all the contributions are very, very clear. They're straight to the point, right? So the first thing for me, right, when it comes to, because I see most of the questions are, people are trying to bring them down to the role of HR in goal setting and performance management, right? So for me, I'm talking out of experience now. The first thing for me, right, is these people we are setting goals for, do they even understand the business of that business? Most times, people overlook these things. You will be shocked to go to your company and ask somebody who has been there for like 3-4 years. I have done that. I'm talking out of experience now. And you ask them, what is this organization all about? Tell them to even recite the vision of the organization. You'll be shocked. Yeah. It's not joke. You'll be shocked to the bones that they don't know it. Now, for those of us that are ISO certified, tell them to read your quality policy, because that's where it starts. You'll be shocked to the bones that most of these people, now, when these people don't even understand the vision of the company, the organization, they don't know what your quality policy statement is all about. What goals are you setting? Because it's until they understand these things that they will begin to work in alignment. It's not just coming to set goals, right? And I see somebody talking about how will HR, when management don't even understand what, that is where these things will create time in the year. There's something I created, and I started doing something around HR town hall meeting. And the last one I did was, my company, extended networks, our DNA, right? Our culture, our shared values. I do this time after time. Why am I doing that? I want people to still have that mindset of what the organization is all about. That is when you now say, okay, people now understand the roles they play. And I tell you something, the smaller thing you can do for your people is always tell them to bring their JDs. At times, I'll just tell somebody, when I just say, can I see do you have a JD? They'll say yes. Nami write them, right? I say, but as in Nami give them out, right? Of course, the user departments we create and then we fine tune and all. But do you have a JD? They'll say, go and bring your JD. I want to look at something. And then they bring their JDs. And I tell them to take me through their JDs. Men and brethren, you'll be shocked to the bones. Most of these people, they don't understand. So until we start dealing with these things from that aspect, we now start helping them to understand where this business is going. They have to understand the business first. So we need to start creating things around that angle. Behind you, when they understand the business, set the goals, give them the targets, tell them how to cut these targets in chunks, in little bits that they can handle and deliver, right? And you'll be surprised, you'll be amazed at their level of productivity. That's my little contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Esther. Ifeoluwa, can you read out the other questions, please, so Dele can answer? We are close to, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, let me, I asked this question. So I will just read that out again. So, Mr. Dele, in cases where the MD buys into the performance management process in the beginning, but in the middle, he leaves you hanging, and the line managers are not cooperative. We've talked a lot about how, the line managers should be the ones setting goals. The line managers, some of them they are just adamant to change. They do not want to cooperate with the performance management process. They want to be spoon-fed by HR. When you have that kind of situation and then MD has left you hanging, how do you handle that situation?
You need to find a way to get the MD's buy-in. It's his business. You're only there to support it. One of the realities that HR people need to face, okay, is that your job is to support the business. And you have power and control to the level at which the MD gives to you. All right. And this will be the same thing for Nkiruka. Okay. I know where Nkiru works. So I understand when she's saying that management team does not understand what performance planning entails. It's the same thing. Okay. You need to find a way to get their buy-in. One of the ways you can get that buy-in is to start that performance planning process with yourself and the MD. So the MD does not need to ask you for your plan for the year. You go to him and say, I am ready with my plan for the year. Of course, you understand the business, and these are my goals for this year. Can we agree on it? All right. When they begin to see the contribution, and I'm speaking again from experience, when they begin to see the contributions that goal setting is having, the impact the goal setting is having on your job and your contributions on the business, then the MD, you can influence the MD to bring back that stuff, to bring back the culture to the business. But it's a very, very frustrating environment if the MD does not align. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. You are back.
Okay.
Yes.
So you need to get the MD. I mean, I know of a business where I worked where the global HR director visited, and she told me that you're very lucky. At the global level, there is no performance management system, but our own business unit in Nigeria has implemented a performance management system and reward. She understands the impact, but the global CEO does not. We're getting to a point where we got to a point where we need to start showing the results that we got for performance management system. It's very frustrating, but you can try and start with your own department, okay, to exemplify, to show results of PMS. But if your MD does not align with that process, there is almost nothing you can do. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much, Dele, for that spot on response. Just to add to that, like Dele said, HR's job is not a child's play. Let me put it that way. Most people say and think that HR is all about being able to being a people person. No, it's about achieving business goals through people. And one thing is very important for any HR person to succeed. There must be what? That's buying. There must be that support, especially first from top management, MD inclusive, and buying from all your major stakeholders and employees. Because most times, HR is in between, right? HR is an enabler. HR is a balancer. HR is in between all that happens in the organization. Okay, so you need to come up with a business case for performance management to thrive. So I'm addressing Ifeoluwa's question and also Nkurika's question. You must come up with a business case, the need for performance management in that business. And what do? You look at how the business is losing because it doesn't have performance management system. You do a lot of research. Look at similar businesses in your industry, possible your competition. So now to convince management, I tell people, don't speak from sentiments. Don't be sentimental. You have to speak the business language. So take your time to do your research. If there is a business that is your competitor or a few businesses in the same industry as you that have a thriving and effective performance management system, go and study what they do, how they do it, and the success stories they have. Then begin to build a business case. Then look at your own business. Look inwards, your own business now. Go to all the departments. Start from sales because sales is more about figures. Go to production. Go to the guys in IT. Ask them what are the major challenges they face and what they think HR can do to help them manage their performance better, right? So when you do all of this, put it together. Now, I don't know if you are the head of HR or HR manager, but most times the person who can do this is the number one HR person in that business. But if the HR manager is still the head of HR, that's fine. So put together a business case because that business case would show MD that because we do not set goals or because we do not have a performance management system, this is what we are losing. Employees do not understand why they come to work every day. Employees are not working in synergy. There is no collaboration. There is no shared vision, right? We cannot track whether the sales guy is selling or is just going to field to spend our money to use our puka for personal gains. So look at the business. So whatever the business is losing because it doesn't have performance management or because it's not setting goals, put it in figures if possible. And now do a projection. If we have PMS, if we set goals, right? Where will what are the benefits we can derive? How can it change the fortunes of our business? Then put all of this together. If you need help on that, you can reach out to us. You can reach out to people that can help you. When you put all of this together, another thing that is very important, especially for Ife who said they started MD now, is now shifting the goalpost maybe in the middle. You also need training. See, HR cannot shoulder the understanding or knowledge of PMS alone. Every employee in that business must buy in and understand the benefits of PMS first for themselves and for the business. So training all employees, starting from managers downwards, is very important on the new PMS. Because that again is more of a culture change or change management. Because
Absolutely.
so if it is new, You can't expect people to just start setting goals. They weren't setting goals 3 years ago, even last year. They've been coming to work. Everybody just gets salary. They get bonus, whether business succeeds or not.
Then you bring another
Then
job.
you are not, yes. Then you're not bringing PMS. You don't want them to set goals. So if they do not know why PMS would even make them get salary raise or promotion, if they do not understand that PMS can show them as a key talent to the business, if they do not understand that PMS can make them be able to succeed their own HOD, then they won't buy in. So when people understand what is the need for me in PMS, why should I set goals? If I set goals, will it help me focus my energy in the right direction? Will it help me make more money in terms of incentive, rewards and recognition, salary raise, and all of that? So when employees know the benefit of PMS and goal setting for themselves, they will naturally buy in. But you need a change management process. A lot of things have to happen behind the scenes, then also in terms of cascading and communication. So again, you need to convince the MD using a business case. Don't speak sentimentally. No, do not speak sentimentally. It's not about emotions. It's about speaking the business language, speaking to them from what they know. Sales figures, profitability figures, production figures, financial metrics, and all of that. So when we do all of this, the MD would most likely, be convinced that goal setting or the entire PMS infrastructure or architecture is very, very important. And for organizations who do not or who don't have performance management system, well, I want to say they are behind. If you need help, if you need people who can help, speak to Dele, speak to myself, speak to Esther, we can help. Some of us work as consultants, we do some of these things for organizations because performance management is the center of everything. Everything that all the functions is working towards is what? Business goals, is achieving results. And at the center of all of this is what? Ensuring that every employee understands what they should be doing to contribute to that business result. I think I should stop here for now. If Oluwa, do we have any more questions? Our time is fast spent.
Seun, can I just make a comment, 30 seconds? I like what Esther wrote in the chat box. She said that you need to get alignment with other top executives. If you can interact with other top executives, get their buy-in before approaching the MD, it puts a lot of weight around it. So it's not only from you, it's also from, look for an influencer, somebody that has the ear of the MD and get his buy-in. Once he buys in, he's the one who will advance it to the MD. That's also a way to go about it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Esther, for that very, very interesting and spot-on response. Ifeoluwa, please, do we have more questions? Please go ahead.
Yes, we have one question from Promise Hassan. Says, in an organization without an HR, how do you manage or track performance? Secondly, how do you help the business to see the need to have an HR, be it internal or outsourced?
Dele, over to you.
Oh, did you say Dele over to me?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm surprised. I'm surprised some Promise is asking that question because
no, don't be surprised. He may be asking for other people. So
he's definitely asking for other people, and he has an answer to
it. Let me answer it. Let Promise answer it.
I Promise answer the question. Let Promise answer the question.
Let Promise answer the question.
He has not said anything since.
Well, for the benefit of other people who don't know who Promise is, let me try. Since Dele what's Promise to answer, let me respond. Because yeah, we all know who Promise is. Not everybody knows. Sorry, some of us know. So in that kind of organization, obviously that organization is still evolving. See, like Dele said, HR would support the business. But if a business feels they do not need HR, I don't think anybody can hold that business responsible for that decision. But unfortunately, a lot of things would suffer. Same way, you see, I'm sure we all remember and see a lot of startups that just start, they get, investor fund, they start business, they recruit by themselves, they start doing everything by themselves. There are no policies in place. There is nothing in place in terms of managing people. And at the end of the day, the business collapse. All the capital, goes to drain because there is no HR at the center to coordinate the activities of every function. So to your question, Promise, I think the people that can convince that MD may not be the employees, because the truth is the employer that employed you has the right to either hire HR or not. You can't force them. But if they see success stories of businesses in the same industry who are thriving, who have good employee experience, who are retaining their top talents, who are hiring key talents, who are achieving learning, capability development and improvement because they have HR, maybe that can change their mind. But because the person is MD and there is no HR, there is little or nothing that the employees can do. You can only complain, you can only wail, and they may listen or they may not listen. But again, if you are working in that kind of organization, you have also a right to either remain there or begin to plan your exit, okay? Because the truth is, every business needs HR. I think 2 years ago, I saw one article online that was trying to justify why we do not need HR. And when I went to read the comments, everybody commenting were saying, no, this is not possible. Only a few persons agree that you do not need HR. And if you look at researches done by big, organizations, the likes of Deloitte, PwC, and all of that, right? There is a justification. It is beyond reasonable doubt. It has been proven that every business needs HR. HR is an enabler from the people, the talents that would even run the business, to how you even manage your finances, because even the finances, people are the ones managing it. So it is HR that hires the right talent for the business. So again, to your question, Promise, there is little or nothing that employees can do. But if the MD sees success stories of businesses that are thriving because they have HR infrastructure, they have HR manager or HR director, maybe they can change your mind. Again, the employees have a right to also stay, begin to plan their exit. Okay? And that's the best way I can respond to your question. Ijoma's hand is up. Ijoma's hand is up. I don't know if we have more questions before Ijoma raises his hand. If any other question before we go to Ijoma, then we are going to close.
No, we've covered all the questions.
All right. Ijoma, over to you before we close.
Okay, just a brief one. I just wanted to make a comment around the last question. And I may be wrong, but then this is my little opinion. I feel that in that kind of an organization, there must be somebody or a unit whose role or responsibility is closest to what happens in an HR function. For instance, who is responsible for hiring, who is responsible for payroll, as little as they are, as clerical as they are, as administrative as they are. I think that one of the ways by which you can entrench proper HR standards in the organization is for people who are doing some of those responsibilities to upskill to the point where they will be able to provide strategic support to the business, which obviously is a pointer to the fact that they really need a substantive HR function in that business. So from there, the MD can begin to be convinced about the fact that, okay, we need to get strong people who can actually handle some of these HR-focused jobs for us in the business. Just my little contribution.
That's a spot on. That's spot on, rather.
Spot on, Ijoma. Spot on. But again, it's if the MD allows, is if the MD is convinced again. But very, very good contribution there.
But that's how I started HR actually.
Yeah.
What Ijoma said now, that's the truth.
Oh, thank you, Esther, for that. That's because your MD sees a need. You have convinced the MD that there is a need for HR. I know that story, yeah. Thank you so much. So if there are no more questions, can we all just use our virtual clap to appreciate Dele for a very wonderful session, very insightful session. Please go to the chat box. Let's appreciate Dele. Okay, and Ife has shared the link. So Hacking Performance Africa, we have a WhatsApp group, and we have for the next 6 months, we have planned series of webinar. We're bringing free webinars to upcoming HR professionals to upskill and help them improve their performance and, of course, their contribution to the organizations. So if you can post again the link, if you are not on Hacking Performance Africa Network already, you can feel free to join us so you can interact with mentors and other professionals. This is not only HR, we have other professionals in the Hacking Performance Africa Network. So thank you so much, Dele. We appreciate your time spent with us today, and we know that if we call on you next time, you would listen to us and come. So,
Thank you so much.
all right,
Thank you.
all right. So, Ifeoluwa, over to you for vote of thanks and closing remarks. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
All right. Thank you everyone again for joining. Dele, thank you so much for your time today. It has been very, very enlightening. So just like Mr. Seun has said, Hacking Performance Africa, it's a group where we can network with mentors and different people in the HR field as well as other fields. So please join the WhatsApp group and we'll take you there. 3 things that we hope to achieve through our interactions in the group, in the Hacking Performance Africa Network: personal growth, business impact, and career acceleration. So if these are things you are looking forward to for your year 2023, Hacking Performance Africa is the place to be. So we would be in touch with you. I'm sure everyone registered to attend. So the recording from this session, I think, would share with everyone. And when we have subsequent programs, you'll be able to get information on the group. Thank you very much again, everyone. We really do appreciate your time. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes,
Bye.
thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ife. Enjoy the rest of your evening and do have a productive week ahead. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Esther. Thank you, Ifeoluwa. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Ijeoma. Thank you, Segun, Favor. Thank you, everybody.
SDV Baba.
Thank you, Ijeoma.
How's it going, bro?